Hey, you guys, I'm going to read you this story off my iPad. It's a follow-up story to a local killing that I just posted a little while ago, but here's a follow-up story. A dark path. Details emerge on man killed while attacking a deputy. The cell phone video of a fatal deputy-involved shooting at the intersection last week leaves little to the imagination. Yet the circumstances behind a young man's decision to die in what authorities are calling suicide by cop remains a mystery. Such and such, Mr. Such and Such was shot and killed by Deputy Leo of the county sheriff's office during an altercation that began when the suspect, who was reportedly homeless, stole a phone from the 7-Eleven store in the area to call the police. The 23-year-old told dispatchers he wanted the police to come out and kill him. Police said the first to arrive at the scene, the officer who was the first to arrive at the scene fired his gun multiple times after the suspect charged him with a knife. The suspect, who could be heard saying, "Kill me, kill me," at least 2 times in the video, was pronounced dead at the hospital medical center that day. He was a troubled young man. Although numerous attempts to reach family members of the former local high school student were unavailable, little is known about his personal life. A neighbor confirmed that the suspect had been squatting in his family's former home after his parents and younger sister moved out of state earlier this year. It is unknown if the victim has other siblings. In July, international lending firm Chase Bank took ownership of the home. According to county records, the local condo in town gives the impression of a chaotic, solitary existence that he likely led during the final months of his life. The front yard, which was overgrown with weeds, was strewn with papers and boxes. An unattended litter box and an empty wine box sat by the paved entryway, and the front door, which was wide open, revealed a mumble-jumble discard of papers tossed about, clothing and upturned furniture inside. Can you guys see this picture? Terrible. The back patio was equally unkempt. Boxes, furniture, and old appliances lay around the seemingly deserted area. A half-empty wine bottle sat on a bench near the back sliding door, which led to a messy kitchen. Through the back window, an old photograph, likely of his family, sat perched by the edge of the kitchen sink. Although his family had moved, they left many of their belongings behind. The suspect did not follow the suspect did not follow his family out of state remains unclear. A former classmate remembered him as a kind, good-natured person who had lost his way. Such and such, an employee at at the surf company was a close friend of the victims during high school. He said they used to spend time together at the local state park. We were friends for 4 years, he said. He was happy, the victim was happy, nice, and always caring toward others. Their friendship waned, though, when the victim began abusing drugs. As soon as the skate park had shut, he started hanging out with bad kids and getting into drugs. He would try talking with me from time to time, but he was just so looped out there was no way to converse. Although they took special education classes together during high school due to some learning disabilities, we did not believe the class was for the mentally ill. To his knowledge, the friend said that the victim's erratic behavior only began when he started using drugs. It is very tragic. I wish there was something I could have done. That sentiment was likely shared by many who knew the troubled young man. Court records show that he was arrested twice this year. After being arrested in August for being under the influence of drugs, he failed to appear for November 10th trial in the Superior Court building, and a bench warrant was issued for his arrest. He was arrested December 2nd for shoplifting from the Target store on the boulevard and appeared in court 2 days later. He pleaded guilty to resisting arrest and obstructing a police officer. His petty theft charge was dismissed, but he was ordered to stay away from that store, according to the court record. During his court appearance, he also had to answer to his August arrest for being under the influence of drugs. Police records show that he was also arrested for being in possession of drugs, but those charges were dropped somehow. He pleaded guilty to being under the influence and was given a deferred entry of judgment and released from jail. Under the terms of his release, he was required to attend an anti-drug class, undergo drug counseling, and take random drug tests when required by a police or probation officer. He was due back in court 2 years later, 2017, at which time his drug-related arrest would have been cleared from his record if he successfully met the terms of his release. Less than 2 weeks later, he was shot while charging a deputy. The unanswered questions still remain whether he was under the influence of drugs or alcohol at the time of his death. Officials at the examiner's office said it typically takes between 4 to 6 months before a toxicology report is finalized. Although it is not known if he struggled with mental illness, his online persona raises questions about his mental health. His personal Facebook page consists of a series of selfie photos taken with the camera on an electronic tablet. The most recent photo, posted just 1 week before his death, shows a shirtless man standing casually in front of the 7-Eleven store. In some of his previous photos, all of which were taken with a tablet, he is shown holding a pistol close to his chest. None of the photos include family or members or friends. His last post on the page was written from December 9th of last year, was a response to a friend's comment on his physical physique. Just wait, homie. he wrote below a shirtless selfie, "I'm going to get bigger. I'm 5'11", 150 pounds right now, and I'm going to be like 6'3", and more 190. Be one of the beautiful people of the universe. Also a billionaire in Hollywood. I'm going to own clubs, restaurants, movie theaters, skate parks, and you will definitely be invited." His friend, a 9.5-year veteran of, the officer, a 9.5-year veteran of the sheriff's office, had been assigned as a patrol officer to a local station in November. The deputy, who was working an overtime shift here locally on the morning of the shooting, was trained by the local intervention team before the fatal incident. One of the goals of the program, founded in 2001, is to reduce police officers' need to use force when confronting someone who is acting erratic, either due to drugs or mental health issues. Although the officer received an outpouring of support after the video was released, many took to social media to praise him for the restraint he showed before firing his weapon. Some have questioned why he was the only deputy at the scene. Others have asked why the deputy, who is currently on paid leave, did not wait for backup before approaching the victim at the intersection. Sergeant such and such said that although dispatchers sent multiple officers to the scene, the deputy was the first to arrive. Another deputy arrived shortly after the shots were fired. It unfolded so very quickly as soon as the deputy arrived and the victim was trying to get into his vehicle. Officers said, "You have to keep in mind that the suspect had a knife, and we, as law enforcement personnel, have an obligation to protect the public." A tragic outcome. Such and such is the executive director of a local affiliate of National Alliance of Mental Illness, an organization that aims to educate families and individuals on how to get the support and information they need to best respond to those with mental illness. The organization works to eliminate the many stigmas and misnomers surrounding those who suffer from mental health issues. The agency's toll-free line responds to those people in crisis. Such and such said that because the investigation to the shooting is ongoing, he would not speak to whether or not the officer involved shooting was considered a suicide by cop. The licensed clinical social worker said public and facilitated forms of suicide are far rarer than other forms of suicide. They are also less thought out. It would be impossible for me to say why some people would take that approach. In some cases, people might think they will get notoriety for it. In other cases, it might be that they can't imagine how they would do it on their own. The officer had high praise. Such and such had high praise for the program. It said anyone who knows or encounters a person who has talked about suicide should never assume that that person is trying to get attention. If a person talks about suicide, he said, ask them if they are thinking about killing themselves. The answer is yes. He said, ask them if they have a plan how they tend to do it. And also ask them if they have attempted to commit suicide in the past, because someone who has attempted suicide in the past is much more likely to attempt suicide in the future. If the person is serious, try to connect with them, with someone in their support network, or encourage them to go to the hospital, the mental health expert said. There are also circumstances in which a person can be admitted to the hospital voluntarily. The suspect has been treated for depression or other issues we don't know. It remains a mystery. It's obvious. It's very tragic when this happens. Certified addiction treatment counselor said, all of us wish the outcome would have been